What's good, everybody? It's Robo back with another video, and today I have my college football conference championship picks. Before I get started, I want to give a quick little channel update for all the new subscribers over here. The regular season is done, but I'll still be doing bowl picks and playoff picks just like last year, and potentially some NFL picks soon as well. And I'm also a big basketball guy, and I've done a bunch of big boards and mock drafts in the past, so with that getting back into full swing, I'm going to go ahead and start posting some basketball content. And of course, the same goes for the NFL draft, and maybe some off-season college football content too. So stay tuned to the channel if any of that interests you, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Week 14 recap. The final week of the regular season was an incredible watch, and maybe an even better one for my picks. 46-21 on winners is solid, but 39-27-1 against the spread is a huge finish to close out the year heading into championship week and bowl games. Finally way into the positive after a bunch of stagnant weeks in a row, and it came despite some massive upsets like Michigan taking out Ohio State in shocking fashion. Now on to this week. It's obviously a much shorter slate of just championships, but with several key games for playoff seeding, so let's go ahead and get started in order of kickoff time as usual. Championship week kicks off Friday night with the Conference USA as Jacksonville State hosts Western Kentucky. These teams just played last week at Western Kentucky, and the Hilltoppers took it 19-17. Jacksonville State's starting quarterback Tyler Huff went down with an injury early in the second half in that game, which definitely could have hurt the offense a bit, but it was a tough game for him anyways leading up to that point. Just 3 of 11 through the air and only 10 points of offense. He ran it well, putting up nearly 100 yards by halftime, but Western Kentucky still did a solid job limiting the rushing attack's effectiveness in this game. And we could see more of the same in this game, but playing the same team back-to-back weeks could make that really hard to do. Both teams get a week to fix mistakes and adjust to their opponent, and I think we'll see a bit better offensive game this time around because of that, especially if Tyler Huff is good to go, as the offense is obviously a lot better with him as opposed to Logan Smothers. He's a game-time decision right now, and his status could change the outcome of this game for sure, but seeing the size of this game, I think he'll give it a go. For me, I just don't think Western Kentucky's defense is going to be as effective against the run this time around on the road, which obviously would play into the Gamecocks' favor. This game should be great once again, but I do like Jacksonville State as the Conference USA champs this year, with a much higher scoring 31-28 final this time. Friday's biggest game, and likely a playoff play-in game for both teams, comes in the Mountain West title with number 20 UNLV on the road at number 10 Boise State. With a win, Boise State would likely lock up a top 4 seed and a round 1 bye, and for UNLV, a win would likely mean the 12th overall seed in the playoffs. These teams went head-to-head earlier this season at UNLV, and it was an incredible game. Boise took it on the road by 5 points after a really good game by Maddox Madsen. UNLV shut down Genty as much as they could, holding him to under 4 yards a carry and his lowest output of the season. I still think this Rebel team has more than enough offensive talent to hang with Boise once again in this game, and Genty's kind of been banged up a bit the last couple of weeks, which could definitely make life a little bit easier for the UNLV defense. But he's still so unbelievably good, and the Broncos offense done a good job of countering him with the pass when teams sell out on the run and load the box up. And playing under the lights in the cold as the host site, I really think they'll take this one to secure that bye week. I've got them sealing it with a late score to go up by 2 possessions in this one, 34-24. Game 3 on Friday is another big one at West Point with Tulane at Army for the American Conference title. Tulane's playoff hopes crumbled last week in the loss to Memphis, and in doing so, they lost a chance to host this title game as well. They got torched on the ground by Mario Anderson Jr. of Memphis and turned it over 3 times on the night as well. If the run defense this week is anything like in that game, Army could just walk all over them offensively. I honestly think the Army defense can give Tulane a real challenge as well, but they've been so good all season as a unit, especially on the ground. To me, I do believe Tulane is a clear better team in this matchup though. Even with the loss last week, I think Army's defense looked beatable for Tulane, and outside of Notre Dame, they'll be the toughest team they faced all year. With that said, having to go on the road to take this one from an 11-win Army team with a great defense is going to be a really tough thing to do, and I think this is a game that goes down to the last possession, but I do like Tulane by a field goal, 24-21. Championship Saturday starts with Iowa State and Arizona State in the Big 12 title game from Arlington, Texas. Arizona State's won 5 straight coming into this game and is one of the best rushing attacks in the country with Cam Skattebo, and he could be in for a big day as Iowa State's run defense really hasn't been great at all this season, but the pass defense is one of the best in the entire country. This is going to have to be his game to take over. The Sun Devils want to win it. Levitt's probably going to have a tough time finding a rhythm in this game, and I think Iowa State's advantage against that pass offense is going to be a bit of a difference maker in this matchup if they can get ahead. Again, as the spread shows, this is genuinely a toss-up game that I can see going either way. I just think Rocco Becht and the Cyclones will have enough offensive versatility to finish late if they need to, and if they've got the lead, they can clamp up in the pass game as well. So I'm going to take Iowa State by a field goal because of that, 30-27. Miami, Ohio, and the University of Ohio face off for the MAC championship from Ford Field in Detroit, with both teams coming in playing their best ball of the year lately. Miami blowing out a great Bowling Green team on the road a week after beating Northern Illinois by double digits, and Ohio coming off yet another blowout win against Ball State, and the week prior taking easy care of Toledo on the road as well. The biggest common opponent between these two teams is definitely that Toledo squad, but two very different Toledo teams considering the timing of those games, so it's not as a useful comparison by any means. A matchup view is much better to go off of. Ohio's defense is ranked right with Miami statistically, but they're much better against the run, and Miami has an experienced quarterback who can really sling it in Brett Gabbert. And on the Miami-Ohio side, they've got a solid advantage in the front seven with 3 future NFL players in that unit, and Brian Ugwu, Matt Salopek, and Ty Wise that can help limit that Ohio run game. This matchup could really go either way as both teams have had really strong seasons, but the way Miami-Ohio has played defensively against some of the better teams in the conference lately, and with the experience Brett Gabbert has at quarterback, I think this is a game Miami-Ohio toughs up in a low-scoring final. I'm going to go 21-17 Redhawks. The SEC championship game between Georgia and Texas is maybe the most anticipated matchup of championship weekend. Georgia won the regular season matchup on the road at Texas in Week 8 by a final score of 30-15, and although it's been a while since then, I still think that's a big deal coming into this game. Texas' defense forced several turnovers on Carson Beck and looked great throughout that game, but still lost by multiple possessions. Georgia's defense looked bad last week against Georgia Tech, but we know how good they can be when they're playing at their best, as that Texas game showed. And this is another game where I expect to see that from them, making life difficult on viewers yet again. I think we see another strong defensive battle with both quarterbacks struggling at times, but cleaner performance this time around from both guys, leading to a little bit more offense. But I just trust Kirby Smart in this spot more than I trust Texas, and the Georgia Tech scare could whip the Dogs into shape at a perfect time. I'm going to go with Georgia to knock off Texas for the second time this season, 30-24. Louisiana hosts Marshall for the Sun Belt Championship in front of their home crowd in Lafayette, and that's a big advantage as all 5 winners of the Sun Belt Championship game have been the hosting teams. But Marshall comes in this game on a 6-game win streak, including back-to-back wins on the road against Old Dominion and James Madison to clinch their spot in this game. Louisiana's schedule has been easier, but the only losses come to Tulane and South Alabama by a combined 10 points. In terms of statistics, Louisiana has a much better offense thanks to a massive gap in passing. Marshall gets the majority of their offense on the ground, and that's an area where Louisiana's defense hasn't been the sharpest, so I can definitely see that giving Marshall a chance in this game. But Marshall's defense has gotten gashed on the ground as well, especially up against some of the better teams in the conference. So Louisiana should have maybe an even easier time finding points in this game, and Chandler Fields has been excellent filling in for the injured Ben Woldridge so far. I think Louisiana's been the better team all season and has enough advantage here to trust at home, so I'm going to take them by a touchdown, 34-27. Oregon and Penn State face off in Indianapolis for the Big Ten title Saturday night with the number 1 overall seed on the line. This is a great matchup statistically, with both offenses coming at number 1 and number 2 in the Big Ten and just 6 yards and 2 points apart on a per-game basis. And defensively, they sit in a similar spot as well. Both of these teams have had a road scare recently with Minnesota and Wisconsin respectively, and both played Ohio State close but with different results. So for me, this comes down to my belief that Oregon just has better talent on the field in this game, especially with a guy like Dylan Gabriel and how good he's been this season. Penn State has elite talent as well, and guys like Tyler Warren on offense and Abdul Carter on defense. But Oregon can really match up with them pretty much everywhere on the field and just has shown more dominance as a whole throughout the middle and late parts of the season. With all that, as well as James Franklin's 3-17 record against top 10 teams, I do not trust him or this Penn State team in closing moments. So I'm taking Oregon to take the Big Ten championship this year, 27-20. Clemson made the ACC title game thanks to Syracuse's upset of Miami last week, and they'll be playing newcomer SMU in their first ever ACC title matchup. This one's in Charlotte, so we can assume a pro-Clemson crowd in attendance, but that hasn't mattered much for the Mustangs, who won all 5 road games this season. This SMU team is the second best defense in the ACC thanks to an elite run defense giving up just 96 yards a game. Now, they haven't had the toughest schedule this season by any means, but they have beaten Louisville on the road and have basically demolished every other team they've played. But this Clemson team will be the best they've faced all year and should definitely give them a tough game. Coming off the South Carolina loss, this Tiger team has a chance to bounce back and snag a playoff berth still. They've got a pass defense that can force Kevin Jennings into turnover-worthy plays, and a really balanced offense that can make things much tougher on SMU than most of their opponents have this season. So with the strength of schedule concerns, a fairly even matchup on paper, and an 8-1 ACC title game record as a program, I lean towards Clemson taking this game close as underdogs, 31-28. That's it for my championship picks. Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments, and even any content you'd like to see on the channel in the future. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.